Let's get a quick take on the decision by a federal court judge last week that granted class action status to a lawsuit in Colorado. The suit claims that undocumented immigrants held in a privately run Colorado detention center were threatened with solitary confinement and paid $1 a day for labor. Patty Cahoon from Westward, this seems to put a pretty big immigration issue in a lawsuit right smack dab in the middle of Colorado that the rest of the nation's going to be paying attention to. What do you think?
Well, they will be paying attention to it, and for good reason. The fact is, even if you are undocumented or illegal, whatever you want to call them, that does not give the United States, via its private company, the opportunity to use you as slave labor. So it's going to be a fascinating case.
David Kopel from the Independence Institute and DU Law School. Explain to me and our viewers about what it means to have class action status.
Well, and this decision came from Judge John Kane, who's a senior federal district judge, very well respected, great career in Colorado law. A class action is when it's more manageable and more convenient for everybody to try the claims of several representatives of the class instead of all the individuals in the class one at a time. And so that's what Judge Kane decided, that this is a good case for a class action. And that's all it decides at this point. Proving the allegations, all that kind of stuff, that may come in the future. Now, whether illegal aliens who have been caught and being held in a federal detention facility are within the scope of the federal statute called the Trafficking Victims Protection Act, you know, they're not trafficking victims, they're self-trafficking perpetrators. So I don't know how it's going to end up as a matter of law, but I think Judge Kane was right to say however we do it, it's going to be easier to do it as a class action.
Eric Sonren, political analyst. Immigration is already a nuclear topic in America, but I imagine that this is going to put Colorado in some of those national discussions. Do you share the same thought?
Yeah, I think Colorado's ready there. I think David actually understated the influence of this particular judge. I mean, when you look back at federal judges who've made a difference in this state, in this part of the country over a long period of time, John Kane is on the top of that list. He now has senior status, but it didn't surprise me at all to read that he was the judge at the center of this and the judge who issued this ruling. I think the solitary confinement piece might be a little overstated. There's no evidence that any of these detainees have been put into solitary confinement, but my favorite piece of it was somebody for the private company running these detention centers who talked about, where in my notes, that they called it a, quote, voluntary work program. Yeah, I can imagine it's quite voluntary. I tend to be suspicious of some class action suits. I think this one might have some legs, and more power to them.
Ben Gelt joins us, public affairs consultant. Even though we talked about the impact of this from the national point of view, we have a lot of immigration points on the local issues, whether it's sanctuary cities or different cities deciding what they're going to do. Do you think this case might impact some of those decisions?
Well, I think certainly from a perception level, this kind of ruling gives some energy and some maybe stability or some sense of peace to those folks in those communities about their status in our society and their ability to be unfairly treated and the like. So I think certainly from that perspective of just a PR level, that it should be a positive for folks who are concerned about their rights and their ability to be treated humanely.